Welcome back. In this video we're going to learn some of the quilling shapes that you can make with the quilled coils we made in our last session. In our last session we made a tight coil and we made what's called a closed coil like this. Outside of the video I made a bunch of closed coils for this part of our project, which is going to be making them into different shapes. So here's a bunch of our different shapes, and we're going to go through each of these shapes as we learn. These shapes are also here on the front of your quilling toolbox, so you can remind yourself as you work through what kind of shapes you need as you work. Okay? Now, first things first, you're going to take your sheet and you're going to write your name. I'm going to write Mr. Lundgren, but you are going to write your name. And then you're going to write your grade and your teacher's name here. Not me, your teacher, but your homeroom teacher. Right there. Okay, then we're going to start gluing down. In your box, you're going to have one just Elmer's glue bottle. Take your Elmer's glue bottle and one of those scraps of paper and just squeeze a big blob of glue onto that paper that you can then use to glue your coils together, as well as glue them down onto your practice paper. Okay, so to get started, to glue things down, all you're going to do is take your little coil and get some glue onto your pin tool, just like we did in our previous session, and just kind of smear it onto the back. Okay, and then simply take it, press it down on your paper, hold it for a second, and let it glue. All right, so there's our tight coil. Here's my closed coil, and when you have a closed coil, you can just do the same thing, kind of smear it on the back of a couple of pieces. Whatever you smear it on the back of will stick down nicely. And then as you're smearing it on the back and deciding to push it down, you can have the coil like centered, okay, like it is right there, or you can pull the center one way or the other and glue it down so that the center of the coil is a little off center, and then will make your design kind of look more interesting depending on how you pull it. All right, so for a teardrop shape, you're going to take one of your closed coils like this, and you're going to pinch one edge of it. So if I take this and pinch one edge, it will look something like that. All right, then I'm going to take my glue, and to keep things simple, I'm going to just, whatever I set down first will be the back. You, as you're making your artwork, are going to decide which way you want your shapes to go, whether you want the inside pieces twisting one way or the other way, and then you'll kind of make your artistic decisions depending on what you decide. So there's my petal shape, or sorry, my teardrop shape. Okay, for the petal shape, you're going to do pretty much exactly the same thing. You're going to pinch the top of it. Okay, just like we did with the teardrop. But instead of leaving it as a teardrop shape, you're going to just bend the tip, kind of like this. And that will give you like a little petal shape. All right, so I'm going to take that and glue that piece down. And that was basically the teardrop with a twist at the top. And depending on which way you design these, they could really take on some really unique, interesting forms as you put them together. Okay, I'm going to flip that over. And I'm actually going to take a little glue and fix this up here. I didn't glue that together very well. All right, there's my petal shape. For the marquee right here, or the eye, you're going to take one of your closed coils and pinch at both ends. So if I take this here and I kind of pinch both ends, it turns into, oops, excuse me, an eye shape, like that. Okay, and by eye it means, you know, like the eyeball, not the letter I, right? And that's spelled right there. Okay, take your glue, place it on the back. And you can see how I kind of rub the pin tool over the edge to flatten the glue out, and then flip it over. Like that. Okay, The leaf shape or the shaped marquee is just like the same thing we did with the petal. Up here you're going to twist the ends. So the teardrop has 1 point, the marquee has 2 points, and the leaf shaped marquee is the same way you made the first marquee, by pinching the ends. Okay, and then you're going to twist one up and one down. Okay, so it kind of shaped like a leaf. Flip that over. Now we're going to make a half moon. The half moon looks like a crescent. So to do that, you're going to take just kind of like the shaped marquee, but you're going to bend it downward. So you take your coil, bend it like this around the center, and that is our crescent. Okay. Glue the back. And what I want you to do is do this, each of these separately, so that when you're doing your final work of art, you can make the correct decisions for yourself based on what you want your artwork to look like. Now we're going to move on to our triangle, and if you remember way back to first grade when we did our little paper strip modern art sculptures, we did a triangle, right? We had to make triangles and turn it into tetrahedrons. You're going to take this triangle same way. You're going to point the top, just like we did with the petal or the teardrop. Then you're going to squish these two corners like that to make yourself a triangular shape. Okay, so there's our triangle. Flip that over. Okay, now we're going to make a tulip shape. A tulip usually it has 3 little points at the top when you simplify it. So in order to do that, we're going to just take this and we're going to pinch one top here and then pinch one top in here. And notice how as I pinch that, I kind of scrunch it together to make a little point in between my index fingers right there. And then that looks kind of like a tulip topped flower. Alright, so it should have 3 points, 1, 2, 3 on there. And then the inside coil, depending on how you do it, will either have 3 points or be flat or whatever, depending on how you squish it. There you go. Bunny ears, or the shield, is kind of like the tulip, but it's a little easier. All you have to do is pick 2 of them and kind of squish them. Oops, sorry. Squish them around together like this. Maybe if I turn it upside down so you can, my hands aren't in the way. Okay, and you can just kind of wrap it around your finger or your thumb, and then you pull those 2 ears together, and those it's like little bunny ears. Okay, or sometimes you could think of it as a shield. The arrow or the dart is similar to the bunny ears. You're going to point one end of it, just like the teardrop, and then you're going to squish the other end in like this to make it into like a little dart or an arrowhead or something like that. Okay, so it should look like that. The star, you're going to take your closed coil and you're going to pinch it into 4 little points. So I'm going to point 1 here at the top, I'm going to point 2 out here this side, and then I'm going to take my thumbs and squish that together. So it kind of looks like a little starry like shape with 4 points to it. Okay, so that starry-eyed shape like that. Flip it over. I'm just going to kind of reshape it a little bit here. Here we go. Okay, so we got that little star shape. Should have 4 points. The square is going to be just like when back in first grade when we did the triangle. With the square, you can push these two straight down like a marquee and flip it around and pull these two straight out, kind of like a star, but then just straighten these edges here so that it takes on the form of a square. Okay, just like that. And the last one that we're going to do in this demonstration is called the holly leaf. And the holly leaf can kind of be like your free-form wiggly shape. All right, and that one you just take this and you make as many little points as you want. And on the demonstration, or on the model that's on your toolbox, it's got, I believe it's got 5. And you just kind of keep twisting it around in a circle, kind of bending it into as many different wiggly forms as you can. All right, and that one can have whatever kind of number of points you want it to. Okay, so there's my holly leaf. That's our free form shape. All right, in the next demonstration, I'll explain the last 2 rows here because those 2 are different. They're open forms and connected forms. So these ones here are all closed forms. Today I'd like you to finish all of these forms. We have the tight coil, closed coil, teardrop, petal, marquee, shaped marquee, half moon, triangle, tulip, bunny ears, arrow, star, square, and holly leaf, and glue them on your paper like that. And that's how you do closed shape forms with quilling.